so many eagles here, it's absolutely silly. The river's low enough now that all the dead salmon are starting to get exposed up on the rocky banks. There is some rocky bank now, the river's low enough, so they are going to town behind it. I don't know where the bears are. It's so weird. This time last year, I had over 26 different black bears on my trail cameras. They're all rimmed around here on my trail cameras, and I haven't seen one yet. Weird, right? Anyway. Alright, so now, got a few things to share today that I feel is very important. My puzzle, one of my puzzles is about to get, I feel in my gut, one of my puzzles is about to get filled, and that is for me, a big question is being answered for me for my puzzle when it comes to these beings that are running around the forest that I've seen and I didn't ask to see, which kicked this shit off. And taking you guys back to the very beginning, why I am here today with all you, and probably why you are all here with me today, is because we're sick of the bullshit that the so-called the big names have kept this topic going in an absolute embarrassing circle. An absolute embarrassing circle of bullshit, misinformation, and just doing a great job for the man, right? Insisting these things are a primate. Okay, I need to have to go on that rant right now. You know what I'm talking about. Done with the bullshit, and that's why this channel is popular. That's why we're all here together. And a lot of very knowledgeable people have come forward just because of that fact alone. Here's what happens when I have in my mind, I know exactly what I want to share with everybody, and then when I get here, it's not scripted, it's not written down. So I have written down some things because I knew I'd screw up, right? Because my brain goes about 50 times faster than my brain and my mouth does when they try to sync up. Quick random notes then. What am I going to do today? Today, the absolute heat's coming today. Yesterday, unfortunately, my radiator in my pickup truck decided to start pissing water as fast as I could put it in it, and that's only due to the 2-hour logging road one-way that I've been doing non-stop that just eats your vehicles. So now I have to donate a whole day to ripping out the radiator out of my truck and putting in a brand new one. And no, I'm not going to pay somebody over $100 an hour to do it for me. I just can't. I don't know why, I just can't. I got to do it myself. So there goes a whole day that I wasn't expecting to have gobbled up, and I couldn't afford to. What else? I've got hay getting cut, and I as well have to be here to grab a few hundred bales of hay, and then Friday I have to take off again down the logging road and out to the boat again to go back around on the ocean. Quick shout out to my First Nation superhero ladies. I'm sorry I haven't been in contact with you recently, but I'm sure you figured it out. I haven't had 10 seconds, but I will. And what else? All right, so my brain's scrambled, you guys. Bear with me. I'm trying to make sense. I hope I am. Let's get into my notes so this will kick in my brain what I want to share with you guys right now. It's because I am about to unleash my puzzle on all of you. What I've found out for myself, and you can take from it what you will or leave it. Now the sun's coming out. I think I'm going to get out of the sun and get up into the shadows underneath that tree. It makes for easier reading and less reflections. All right, so give me a second. All right, this ought to work. Hopefully it's in focus. Got the Canon camera. I don't even know if this thing is recording. It's the one that shuts down on me now and then. Drives me bonks. So we'll see if we get lucky with it. I might have to switch up the other camera. The only other thing I hate about the other camera is when it's recording, it'll record X amount of footage and then it clips to a different clip inside the camera. When it does that, it blocks out my audio for the last 2 seconds. And that's when everybody says, oh, the video glitched right when he was about to say that. But it's just the camera, okay, guys? So that's why I'm going to try this one out. But this one, the flashing light for the record is on the back. And I'm alone. Now, so what's happened to me recently? So I had a significant email last night from someone who we've been anticipating to share. I don't think I'm ready to share that email quite just yet because there's a lot more coming. And this one particular email, once I get it shared, will we get this channel annihilated from view of the public? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But if that does happen, obviously I don't quit, and I will get around it, and we will continue to get the knowledge shared with the people other ways. So, just so you all know, yes, I have read some significant information that I've been waiting for, we've all been waiting for, and it's something else. It's going to make a lot of us go, what? But obviously it would, right? So I had to write down some thoughts I had last night after reading the email to try to share with all you guys so we can all do this together, do it properly. Now, one thing that came, a side note, you ever wonder why, like if you ever Googled up Sasquatch pictures or whatever, isn't it amazing, a question I just came up with myself last night, a little bit of a side note, is how many artists' rendition of a Sasquatch looks like a monkey or a gorilla with a turned up frickin' nose, and they're intent on creating that image that looks more like a monkey or a gorilla no matter what. When 99.9% of all eyewitness accounts say, quote, I was looking at a man, more of a man than anything, and had a nose just like ours. That has been shared by eyewitnesses how many times? And how many times do artists' rendition of these beings ignore that intentionally and intentionally create and deliver an image that looks like some kind of unknown monkey or gorilla? Why is that? So, my quick message to all the artists out there who insist on continuing to do that and deliver it to the public, up your ass. That's what I got to say to you. Yeah, I'm in one of those moods today. I'm in one of those ramming up your ass moods today. Because once you learn more significant information from these people who are so intelligent it makes your head spin, it makes me even more angry and frustrated at the bullshit that's delivered to us. And the bullshit that's supported by the people who claim to be looking for the truth when it comes to this truth and many others. So to all you artists out there who intentionally create images for the public to see that make these beings look not like us, ram it up your ass, man. Ram it up your ass. You should be ashamed of yourselves. 99.9% of the eyewitness accounts say it had a nose just like ours, looked just like us, but not quite. I was looking at what I considered to be more of a man standing there looking at me, right? Why don't those artists do those renditions? I know David Plattis has an artist he used who did accurately draw these descriptions for the people. But other than that, there's a whole pile of people out there trying to mislead you. Right down to frickin' artists, right? I'm done with them. Done with the bullshit. Now, before I share my puzzle, I need everybody to ask yourself why. First, you have to come up with answers to why would those who control the education system not want you to know the truth about the Sabe or Sasquatch people. Why? All right? You need to ask yourself and be honest with yourself, and you need to come up with the answers for you first before you get my puzzle delivered to you. You have to ask yourself honestly, why? Why are they so intent on keeping this one truth, which is slapped in their face nonstop for tens of thousands of us? Why do they want to keep it unacknowledged? Why? And believe me, it has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with money. Well, I guess in the long run, in a way, it does all dwindle down to money and power, but it's a little bit more than just a bank account. All right? But you need to find out for yourself before I share my puzzle with you. You really have to dig and find out why. Why do they not want you to know the truth about these people? Okay? And that will help you be able to digest the information that I'm going to share with you. Okay? That's a big one. Some of you might pick up what I'm putting down, some of you might not. Oh well, take it from it where you will or leave it. Truth. Why would we be so pretty? The secret. Seriously, look into it. Now, another thing too is, well, who am I? Who am I? Right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to deliver and share with you what I'm finding out, what I'm learning. But in reality, who am I? I'm just some asshole on the internet, right? But how else are we going to get our honest truths? We're not going to get it from the mainstream scientists because they're paid off. They're paid off on a multitude of various truths and lies, and they're paid off. You're not going to get it from them, period. So who are we left with, right? We're only left with each other. That's what another thing I've been trying to pound into everybody is, we only have each other, and that's it. And you're not going to get the truth from anywhere else except from the people. That's the only place you're going to get it. But then you're going to have to get more in tune with your intuition, your sixth sense, so that you can feel confident in the source of the information you're gathering and trust it and go with it and add it to your puzzle, right? So it's, in the end, it's all up to you as an individual to know if you're hearing truth, to feel comfortable with that knowledge source, and then put that knowledge in your puzzle and fill in that hole with confidence, right? And not being derailed from somebody else telling you, no, don't listen to him. No, that's not the truth, right? You have to go with you in the end. It's all about you in the end, your intuition, your sixth sense, your gut instincts, to be able to put your puzzle pieces in there and fill in that gap for yourself, right? That's all we can do. It's all we can do. And that's what I'm doing, and I know that's what a lot of you out there are doing as well, right? So who am I? I'm the messenger. I'm the messenger, and I like to consider myself a bullshit-free messenger, but there's not much else I can do. I'm putting myself out there with you guys. I'm sharing with you what I'm learning, and I only share with you what I feel, what my instincts, my gut feelings tell me is solid, right? So I don't just go, I mean, I rattle off emails nonstop, but when it comes to what I think, what I believe, I have kept my mouth pretty zip tight this whole ride, have I not? For the most part, but I'm about to cut loose. That's what I was just saying. Who am I? Let's say I fully delivered the final puzzle pieces here. Who would believe it? What actual difference would it make if I delivered, let's just say I did have the final puzzle pieces for this one topic in my hand and I delivered it to you through this lens? It's not really going to make that much of a difference globally, is it? Right? So, or maybe it is. I don't know. But it's just, that's the frustrating part, is the reach of the internet, how we cannot look into the eyes of people face to face. We can't feel their energy face to face when we're gathering this knowledge. We have to somehow try to trust somebody like me or somebody else. You know what I mean? It's not that easy of a thing to come online like this and share truths and discover truths and hunt down truths and get them known. It's not an easy thing, right? So that's why I always say, since day one, you have to go with your gut instincts, your intuition. We already know the answers to everything, I'm convinced. We just have to re-crack it open, right? I'm babbling today. It's just hard for me to deliver sometimes what I'm thinking and feeling. There are some very significant truths being slapped in society's faces today. Well, how is society reacting to those truths today when it comes to other topics, right? What are they doing with it? What are they doing with those truths that get slapped in their face daily? Not much. Not much, unfortunately. And how many people really want to know? How many people really want to know the truths about what's going on around us today? I almost don't want to know that number compared to how many people there are. It's very obvious that it is absolutely far easier to outright deny the existence of these people than to acknowledge them. Why is that? I believe acknowledging them would then directly lead to having to explain them. Right? It's not just about acknowledging their existence, but then you got to explain the truth about them, where they came from, how they came to be, which directly leads to us and our truth, which is absolute taboo. Taboo. It's the explaining part that is poised to do some serious damage to the numerous false beliefs we've all been led to believe. You know what they say, we aren't ready for the truths, apparently. Well, F 'em. I'm more than ready, and I'm over their bullshit. So that was my little notes last night as I lay in bed, pondering what I had just read. Previous. So, to give you a quickie of what I believe is coming is we are about to be delivered the truth and some evidence that clearly shows that around 15,000 years ago, our DNA, something's DNA, was absolutely tampered with and messed with intentionally. Right? Now, what does that tell you? Also, the scientists who are coming forward via another scientist, they have made it very clear to me that when scientists share truth, there's no fine, there's no jail time. Straight across the board with scientists is death. And that's a fact. Scientists get killed if they do not follow the line. It's sad, but it's true. When it comes to energy, when it comes to climate, when it comes to all sorts of shit, drugs, anything. If a scientist wavers in any way, a scientist full of knowledge, they get killed. So, currently, I've had a fair amount of knowledge shared with me last evening. I did not save that email or those words anywhere on my phone. I left it in the encrypted email box where it's safe, and it doesn't give anybody the heads up of what I'm about to share. Believe what is about to be shared is 34 hours of conversation with a scientist who's definitely scared for his life, and he's worried that some of the information he's sharing with us is going to possibly make it obvious who it is. But we are going to work hard at helping conceal the identity of these people. What else? My brain's all over the place this morning. These individuals have over 3,000 individual DNA samples directly from the Sasquatch or Sabe people, whatever you want to call them. They got it. And they have clearly dissected it and know what they're looking at. They also have been quoted to, quote, they have one solid DNA sample from what they call the dog faces or the dog heads. And they assured me that the dog man is very, very real. And they have one absolute solid DNA sample from that as well. And I don't think I've read exactly what that is yet. But I have read exactly what the DNA is for the Sasquatch or the Sabe, whatever you want to refer to these wild people as. I shouldn't even say they're wild. I guess maybe they're just unacknowledged, right? So that's coming. What else? It's funny. Dave Pilatus is and his past colleagues were responsible for obtaining over 100 and some odd DNA samples, and it's been delivered to us. The majority of that truth has been delivered to us as simply as original human, modern female, unknown male. And believe me, when we share with you what the male side of the DNA is, it's gonna help you understand why nobody's said it out loud yet. I'm gonna say it out loud because I don't give a shit. I'm not scared of the truth, and no matter how crazy it sounds, I'm not scared. I'm gonna share it. And these individuals who are sharing with you through me, they have said, quote, it's time to stick it to the man, and we're willing to stick it to the man as much as we can in any way possible, right? When it comes to the truth, they're done. And they're at that age in life where they're up there. They are our senior, super knowledge-filled individuals, and they have come to that point in life where they're not really scared enough, but not scared too much, and they know it is time to share what they know with the people. Thankfully, maybe not thankfully, maybe it's going to be a bad thing, but they've chosen me to be the messenger. I hope what I'm saying makes some sense with you guys, but I have some very significant truths in my possession. There you go. And I'm going to deliver it to all of you. And like I was daydreaming about it last night, is it going to make much of a difference? I don't know. It may for a handful of you. It may for a big handful of you. Maybe it will for all of you. I don't know. But in the end, it's all up to you. It's all up to you, how you feel, how confident you feel, what your intuition, what your gut instincts tell you. And it's your puzzle and it's your ride. Right? In the end. That's what counts. It's your puzzle. And completing this puzzle for me is just one. Since I started this journey, my own journey since I started this, it's cracked open numerous other puzzles for me. And like I said in the very beginning, it's not the Sasquatch that amazes me as much as human beings do. I find it way more amazing to watch human beings and see how effed up they are and how they bumble through this controlled life, right? It's amazing to me to watch, and a lot of it confuses the shit out of me, and I want to learn how I can stop people from bumbling through this lifetime in being so ignorant and not taking the reins of their own life and eliminating the bullshit, right? So I just have to give out such a huge thank you to all the brave people that have come forward with what they know to date. You're so appreciated. I'm so proud to be associated with you during this lifetime. I'll tell you what, brave people. They are. There's a shortage of them, but there's a lot of you out there, and you're so thankful that you have come here to share with the world, using me as the messenger. And I'm glad to take that position and tell you what, I am the messenger, and I am the messenger that will shoot back. So if you came here to shoot the messenger, frickin' bring it on, man. Bring it on. It won't end well for you. So on that note, I'm going to continue to share some voices. There's still a whole shit pile of people that need to be heard, and they're going to be heard. And believe you me, there is a shit pile of honest truth about to be dumped in your lap for you to do with as you will, take from it what you will, or leave it. Alright? Alright, here we go. Let's listen to some more people. Alright, I switched up cameras. This one, great camera. I prefer to use this one. This is the one I use in the shop, but I have a monitor that goes on top and I can see the screen when I sit down, and it will let me know if it's still recording or not. But I don't have a battery for the monitor, so I can't pull it off out here. Sure enough, this thing shut down on me at the tail end of the beginning of this video, so I switched up to this one. I can see the screen, tell that it's recording, and not get screwed up. I find it really odd that there are no bears here, no bear sign. It's really odd, right? Lots of eagles, lots of fish, the river's low, but there's no bears. So I think what I might do, I'll try to find a couple hours soon, and I'm going to ring this whole area with trail cameras again and see what's up, because that does not make normal sense to me. It just doesn't make sense. Unless something's here scaring them away, right? Or eating them. Or whatever. Now let's get into it. People need to be heard. They're going to be heard. Here we go. This is titled Footprints. With a photo. I found this in the Talkeetna Mountains, Alaska, 2 weeks ago while prospecting. There was 2 more I didn't take pics of. Thanks for all the great info, Mike Jones. That's definitely an interesting print, isn't it? I know a lot of people always say, oh, it's a double print from a bear. They always do that. Well, it looks like a single print to me. If I can do this on the screen here instead of, it's such a hassle for me to get the photo off of the camera and then onto my. We see that? Oh, that works. There we go. There's the print, you guys. Got that? There we go. He's got his hand in there. We found 2 other ones. Imagine how many people just ignore the footprint fact, right? It's funny. People are funny. Thanks for sending that in, man. Alright, here we go. What's this one? This is titled, A Large Pale Being on Croatian Highway. Hey Steve, I'm a massive fan of what you're doing. Keep up all the good work. You can use my name too because it really doesn't bother me what some brainwashed mainstream dorks think about me. To make a long story short, I love the outdoors. I spend as much time as possible out there. Not anywhere close to what you're doing though. I've had only one totally weird encounter here in the US, and that was bipedal footsteps right next to me in the woods. I couldn't see anything. Every time I stopped, it would take 2 more steps, then it would stop as well. That did freak me out, no doubt. That would freak anybody out. But I haven't seen anything in the US yet, and I'm not looking forward to doing so. LOL. Those footsteps were weird, but that doesn't even come close to what I've seen in Croatia while on vacation. I have family in Bavaria, Germany, and I usually go visit them whenever I have enough time and cash on the side. Last time I've been there was in late August 2018. They own a beautiful little stone house on the coast of Croatia, which is about a 9-hour drive from Germany. Since I've never been there before, we decided to drive down there. It was my brother, my cousin, who lives in Germany, and I. Everything was fine on the way down there. We had a blast driving through Austria, Slovenia, and then Croatia. I spent 7 days on the Croatian coast, which was great, and then decided to head back to Germany. We started driving very early in the morning at around 2 a.m. because we didn't want to be stuck in traffic all day. When we hit the highway around 2:30 in the morning, it was pretty foggy, and it was getting worse by the minute. Our way led us right through a mountain range, and that's when the fog reached its peak. We were going between 25-30 miles an hour because we couldn't see anything. After some big-ass tourist bus passed us in an almost suicidal way, we were completely alone on the highway, and that's when my cousin yelled out, "What the F is that?" I was sitting right next to him on the passenger side, and my brother was in the back sleeping. Anyways, I turned my head to the right, and out of the bushes, on the right side of the road, there was a bald-headed thing crawling onto the highway. I could not believe my eyes. Since we were going so slow, we both got a very good look of that thing. It was incredibly skinny and had a grayish color. It was crawling on all fours, and it was so long that I couldn't even see the back end of it. To describe the way it moved, it looked exactly like a big cat when stalking its prey, just without the muscles. It looked like a living skeleton with a thin layer of skin over it. It moved back into the bushes, and we went by, and we were both completely shocked. My cousin doesn't believe in anything like that, but he was unable to come up with anything rational to explain that encounter. To this day, whenever we're on the phone, we always ask each other the one question, what the F did we see that night? So that's my story. It isn't a Sasquatch story, but it sure did creep me out. Thanks and have a good one, all you lovely, free-thinking people out there. George Lynch Dixon. Thanks, George. Appreciate that, man. And I'm pretty sure you've done some digging and enough digging to know that you're not the only one who's seen something with that description. It kind of sucks in a way, right? Because that description is something that us humans as a herd have been raised to absolutely not even entertain the thought of that being real for a tenth of a second, right? I know we have seen something like that caught on video or trail camera, right? That's been around for quite some time. Something looking in the camera and then taken off fits that description, not the size. Another thing I forgot to mention earlier in the beginning of this video was that the scientists have confirmed that yes, portals are very, very real. Don't shoot the messenger. And that fact alone, that portals are very real, opens up a lot of shit that we will not be able to wrap our heads around on average, right? But anyway, anybody out there has seen something like that, don't be scared. You can email it in. Don't be scared of sharing what you saw. You didn't ask for it. I get it. We know you didn't ask to see this shit. So just share it and be honest, all right? The times of being scared come to an end now. No more being scared of frickin' anything, all right? It's enough. Thanks again, man, for being brave and sharing that here, all right? I got no answers for what the hell that thing is myself, I'll tell you what. Alright, here's another one. This is titled, It Started with a Footprint in the Mud. It was a beautiful day in July 2009. Just a family of 4 from Bend, Oregon. Looking forward to some real fireworks in Washington State as we love Independence Day. So, we traveled to camp, not quite knowing where we'd end up. My boys and wife, also myself, ended up in the most awesome lake with an island in the middle of it where the fireworks were launched. We also set mortars off on the beach, as many did. The day before, we all decided to travel around the area after reserving the last site available. In our 4x4 with camper, we took many back roads to a very narrow road with trees covered it. If I was to keep going, I would have to lock my hubs. Excuse me. So I decided it would be good to pull over and eat the snacks at this point before we go in too deep in. Excuse me. So we all go for a little hike. We find a barren area, kind of like a bowl. Thought it was strange. So we investigated to find a single footprint in the very center of this. Steve, I have to special order my son's shoes. He's had size 14 at the age of 15. At this time, we never knew a Bigfoot, never heard of it. If so, it didn't mean nothing but a old folk tale. My son puts his boot next to the barefoot print in the totally dried out mud to find this footprint exceeds his boot by about 3 inches. Shit got strange after this. It sounded like Babe Ruth was smacking a tree with a bat. Then from another direction we heard the same tree smacking. And then from another direction, another. My first thoughts were a grow area. And I got the mind speak to leave now. Told my family I have to go now, and we did. After our vacation, did some study on the net, and we knew we had an encounter. I never brought this up again with anyone, but I wanted to share it here. You can say my name. Franklin Smith. Franklin, welcome to the club. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you coming forward with your story. Don't be scared to share it. Just be honest with everybody from here on in. Everybody's just got to be honest. Share what you saw. Share it with your neighbors. Share it with the people who live next to where you experienced it. And then you're done. At least you're honest and you did what was right and you shared the honest truth. They can do with it what they want. Take from it what they will or leave it, right? But at least you shared the truth with them. That's the important part. Thanks again, man. Appreciate it. This next one is titled My Story. Oh, read this one. Did I read it? I'll read it again. Maybe I get confused sometimes. Maybe I read it to myself. It's a short one. Hi Steve, I'm a 15-year-old and I live on the northern part of Vancouver Island in Port Hardy, and I've been watching your channel for some time now. I love to be outdoors and have spent my time hunting and fishing the rivers and ocean up here. I know my story isn't as interesting as others, but here it is. Me and my friend were targeting summer steelhead on a river about 2 years ago. As we were working our way down the stream, we showed up to this one pool, and as I'm looking around, I can see a tree swaying side to side, and there's no breeze or wind whatsoever. I didn't think much of it, and I continued fishing. About 30 seconds later, I can hear thumps in the woods, like somebody stomping their foot. And that's when I said, let's leave. And we packed up and went back upriver with no further encounters. I don't know what it was, but it gave me a good scare. Thanks, Steve. Okay, man, well, you know what? Like you've heard me say before, if you've been watching this channel for a while, if you had some kind of experience and it left that kind of an impression on you, and it knee-jerked you to go find a channel like this on the internet and then find the email address and email it in, you know what it was. And I had somebody email me who was hiking a trail not far away from where I have hunted the last 15 years straight near Whistler, British Columbia, and they told me that on this trail climbing up, which is basically on the same side, where this happened, was probably only 1 mile away from where I videotaped those bright lights way the hell up there in -30 a year ago or something, 2 years ago. And they said that they saw one single tree swaying back and forth up ahead of them. And they looked, and then they saw 2 hairy, huge legs underneath, standing there. And they booked. So what that tree swaying is probably just what it is. Hey, guess what you're about to walk into? Here's your choice to leave or continue on, right? Follow your instincts, man. Be safe out there and don't quit hunting and fishing no matter what, all right? And email me again if you come up with something else that you learned. Somebody needs to hear, might help somebody, all right? Writing in again. It's the title of this one. Hi Steve, hope you and Sarah are very well. I know you couldn't possibly remember me as you get thousands of emails, so a brief recap. And if you still don't remember, that's okay. I'm the guy whose very life was saved by a kawa, K-A-W-A, what you call Sabe, in the Everglades in '82. I want to share a couple of things with you in the club. First, I would never advise anyone to try to engage with one. There are bad apples in every species. From many shares you've read and other witnesses, I've come to believe that the kawa are mostly peaceful, very curious and extremely intelligent. I've heard more than a dozen or so of people getting saved in some way by them. Like every species, they're extremely protective of their young. This may account for the intimidation tactics we hear of, the rock throwing or tree shaking, to frighten people off. They simply don't trust us, and can we blame them when people tend to shoot at them out of fear or, sadly, perhaps hunting them? There's no reports of anyone being killed or even harmed by a kawa for many decades, and we don't know the facts of those reports. It does seem that the ones in Alaska are very vicious and not to be messed with at all. Could be the lack of exposure to people there, I don't know. Of course, all of this is my opinion, and I'm only going off my encounter and what I'm putting together from others. The moment someone enters the forest, they know you're there. That is obvious. Anyway, if this makes any sense to anyone, okay. Or maybe I'm wrong about everything, but I'm here today because one saved my life, and I can't help but feel I need to help people understand they aren't monsters. At least not every one of them. It's a shame our respective governments continue to lie to us about the kawa. I absolutely believe it's because of deforestation and the logging industry, above all else. To the people on your channel, you're not alone, not crazy. We absolutely know exactly what we've been through. Being silent about your experience doesn't help you or the cause. The more we tell others, the more they, the powers that be, can't hide this. Steve, please keep doing what you're doing for everyone's sake and sanity. You are the only one helping with truth. My deepest respect for you and the club members. We're all a family and ours. Yes, we are. And thanks for that email. And I'd like to add in that there's a lot of other people out there trying to get the truth out too, man. For sure, there's a lot more people out there doing it as well. And what I take on that, me, in my puzzle, I would respectably agree to disagree with you on the logging industry and those dollars. My puzzle has taken me not even remotely near that reason why this is being held from us. I have found out for myself that it's much, much bigger. Much bigger. But that's coming in the future. Everybody's puzzle's different. My Sasquatch encounter. Hope all's well, Steve. Been a follower of your channel for quite some time now, and finally decided to send you my experience. A little about me. I was raised a hunter and a fisherman. My family is very outdoors oriented. Hunting and fishing is in our blood. I joined the Canadian Army Regiment Force after high school for 5 years, and now work in my family's business. I'll get right into it. I was in grade 11, 2010, and just finished school for the day and got home. I was with my buddy Josh, and we hopped on my father's four-wheeler and drove it to the back bush to smoke cigarettes and shoot the shit. My father lives on a 64-acre farm with cornfields, a pond, and plenty of bush behind the fields. He lives in the country far north of Toronto. Once I drove into the four-wheeler trail at the very back of the property, I stopped in a fairly open spot in the bush. You could see about 35 to 50 yards into the bush as it was fall and all the leaves were on the ground. I turned off the engine. We were on a Sportsman 500 with a dump box so you could flip up another seat and face each other. As we were facing each other talking, about to have a smoke, my buddy stopped talking mid-sentence. We both had this blank stare at each other as we both had this overwhelming feeling of someone staring at you times 100 mixed with what I can only describe as dread. I looked left, he looked right, at the same time as we were looking at each other. Once we turned our heads, we started staring at a tree-peeking Sasquatch about 30 yards away behind a big oak tree. This is the scariest thing I've ever seen breathing. He was standing completely erect and was showing about half of his body. The other half was behind the tree, but you could see its whole head just staring at us. His arm was extended down the side of his body, not a bear. Like I said before, it felt like 5 hours, but was maybe 3 to 5 seconds stare down in reality. 5 seconds is an hour in wildlife time. I believe he was a male. He had dark brown / black fur from head to toe, and I distinctly remember his sunken eyes and seeing his piercing red-eyed pupil. Infrared? He must have been 10 to 12 feet tall, and I can safely assume he weighed probably 800 to 1,000 pounds. As soon as we locked eyes for a few seconds, he slipped behind the tree and that he was peeking from. I didn't see a flash of him after he vanished. So I tossed my cigarette pack and told my buddy to wait at the bike. I'm a hootin' and a hollerin' redneck, so I just ran full-on sprinted to this oak tree doing a war cry the whole way as loud as I could. You psycho. This beast vanished. Not only vanished, but it didn't even make a sound, not even a crack of a branch. There were lots of dry leaves covering the ground, and I sounded like an elephant running on those leaves. To this day, I wonder what possessed me to run to that tree. No shit. Good one, though. If he was waiting there for me, he could just pick me up by my head and rip me in half if he wanted to. I couldn't even find a track because the leaves were so thick on the ground. He can either ghost walk silently with unnatural speed, or hop from tree to tree like Tarzan, or he's simply cloaked as he disappeared as fast as he showed himself. This is what the weird part is. I swear on my life I couldn't make this shit up even if I got paid to. I took film class in grade 11 and I decided to do a Bigfoot mockumentary as a fun video project. My buddy Josh had an ape suit, and even though he went to a different school, he agreed to play Bigfoot in our film. We completed the Bigfoot film on my father's property, as most of the filming was in the back bush by the four-wheeler trail. The encounter we had was 3 weeks after we finished filming it. What? The encounter we had was 3 weeks after we finished filming it when we went back to the bush. No shit. Was he watching us do a film about him and decided to show us he was in fact real? Or was he investigating the engine sound turning off into his territory? I believe he was watching us film a video about him and his territory, and that's his home. Well, thank God he didn't think the guy in the suit was sexy, right? I've been thinking about going back to the oak tree again to see if he will show himself again. But part of me just wants to leave it alone for fear it might kill me. I do a lot of coyote hunting in the field before the bush, so maybe he will like me for thinning out his competition. The only sad part about this encounter is that every once in a while I talk to my buddy Josh and he is still in denial, or he simply cannot wrap his head around what was looking at us. I feel sorry for him as he has undeniable proof we've been lied to our whole lives, and he still isn't sure. Thanks to you for all you do. I understand that people can be scarred for life encountering these beings, and I definitely have heightened senses in the bush hunting for life after knowing what's out there. No more tree stand naps. All the best, Clay. Okay, Clay, do your buddy a favor and forward this particular video to him and tell him to watch to the end, and maybe that'll help him remove his mental block and possibly join us on a ride. He's a member of the Club of No Return, whether he denies it or not. He's a member. There's no way out of it. And but obviously, you don't want to push on to people what they don't want, right? That's why we never say like, share, and subscribe here. What for? Why? You can't push this shit on people, right? You can't. So, but the amount of people that have seen this shit is overwhelming. It's absolutely unbelievable. And I was thinking about the other day, well, how come all these other previous groups haven't had the numbers that we have had here sharing? Well, it's because the majority of them have been involved in some kind of embarrassing, insulting reality TV show. That's probably why. Who in their right mind would even think about contacting those clowns? Right? Those bullshit promoting, pushing clowns. Every one of them. Reality TV. Are you kidding me? good God. I remember Dave Plies talking to me about a couple individuals, and I said to him flat out, I go, you know what, dude? I just don't have any respect for people on television. I don't. It's a shit show. It's a shit-eating clown show of pushing bullshit and making people's brains slip into dormancy. I've had now, I don't know how many reality TV show producers have contacted me and either looking for some of my content or looking for an interview or asking me if I'd be interested in being on TV. And then finally one of the smarter ones said, he emailed me and he said flat out, I take it you don't really want to be on a TV show, do you? Like, good God, no. You put me on a TV show, and you ever see me on a reality TV show, anytime I give everyone here permission to kick me in the nuts as hard as you can. That's my stance on that one. But that is why we now have the most numbers in the world coming forward than anybody has previously or does today. That's why. Because we do not tolerate bullshit, and we speak the truth, and we are a group of people who just aren't scared anymore of nothing, right? There you go. Should I get going? I don't even know how long I've been sitting here. I feel like I'm babbling for a while, but I'm jacked up. After yesterday's email, I'm jacked up, and I feel like ramming all this shit down the throats of all those who don't want it exposed. I just feel like really cramming it down their throats today. So what the hell? Let's get one more out, all right? And I will continue to share no matter what I learn, no matter even if my puzzle gets completed, I'm not going to stop sharing everybody's voices. Hey Steve, my name is Blake Dye. Thank you so much for being a true hero and teacher. I'm going to provide as much detail and description as I can. All right, man. Thanks for the kind words. Let's get at it. I've grown up in the Appalachian Mountains. I hunt, fish, trap, and dig every route that is profitable. But I want to tell you, no, I'm not like the TV show or any other idiot that goes out and rapes the land. I make sure I always leave plenty of mother roots and plant tons of seeds back so I can do this for the rest of my life, and my son can have this resource. My first encounter happened when I was 5 years old. I was playing in a small creek with my cousin, who's 1 year older than me. We were raised like brothers, and were turned loose to just run all over the farm. We both seen a claw right by the creek bank. What? We both seen a claw right by the creek bank, and usually my cousin would have pushed me out of the way to get it. He refused to grab it. And my inner voice was telling me do not touch it. But due to the fact that he was obviously afraid to touch it, I was younger and had to prove myself. Big mistake. The whole time my sixth sense told me not to. As soon as I picked it up, something took a step just in the wood line and crushed a glass beer bottle. My cousin Joey told me, let's go, leave the claw. As we walked towards my dad's house, we were paralleled inside the tree line, and my inner voice screamed, if I show that to anyone, then it'll be very bad. Nothing specific, just a horrible, horrible feeling. Nobody's allowed to see what I had in my hand. We got into my dad's yard. Joey walked straight towards the front door of the house. My dad just got done throwing a bag of trash in the open pit fire and walked straight over past him and threw the claw into the fire. As soon as I did, I had an instant relief and the feeling and voice were gone. That's pretty crazy. Oops, I lost where I was reading. The best description of the claw in my memory is that it was fairly straight, slightly curved at the tip, nothing like a bear claw. I had a necklace at the time with black bear claws. It did have more of a brownish color, not completely black. Stuck out on both sides of my hand. Holy shit, probably 4 inches long. That's frickin' huge. Me and Joey never spoke about it until we were teenagers and continued to play at the same creek. My second encounter was when I was 9 years old. My dad had an old Jeep. He had the top doors and windshield off. Went for a ride up the old iron ore mines on our property. It was about 11 at night, and me and Joey were standing in the back seat holding onto the roll bar. We took turns shining a spotlight just to see if we could see any animals, and all of a sudden we get knocked down into the seat and there's a turkey laying on our lap. I thought it was dead at first, and then it started flopping and going crazy. My dad didn't know what the hell happened as he turned around trying to check on us. My dad immediately, after throwing the turkey out of the Jeep, what? That was a good meal, started to turn around whenever we're asking a million questions and just what just happened. And he said he hit a tree and knocked the turkey off the roost. And then he changed his story years later and said that the turkey flew off the roost. He said the turkey flew off the roost. They don't fly off the roost at 11 at night. So, as he's turning around, we hear something over the motor just outside of the spotlight reach on both sides of us going up and down the road, paralleling the road. We go all the way back down the mountain, still hearing them. Dad stopped a quarter of the way in the field, spun the Jeep around, and shut off the motor. He took the light from us and stood in the dark on the running board, lit a cigarette, and as he was listening, he took the spotlight and shined it at a massive white oak. We don't see anything. My dad keeps scanning, and all of a sudden he takes the light and goes up the tree 60 feet. When he goes up the tree, there were 3 sets of yellow eyes. My dad held the light on them for maybe 30 seconds, then got pissed and started sliding down the tree. And that was when I was petrified. My dad, who was my hero, was actually scared, and that showed me how serious this was. He fell back in the seat, started the Jeep, and hauled ass to our granny's house, which was on the other side of the field. We pulled into the garage, and when we went inside, everyone acted like nothing happened. Joey wouldn't talk to me about it. My dad got, and still does, get grouchy. Our granny still doesn't know what happened. The yellow eyes in the tree was the first time we actually saw anything that moved like a cat, extremely flexible, and reminded me of how a mink moves. They were so fast, it was unbelievable. I could not see if they had tails. And the distance that we were from them, I couldn't guess a height or width. They were large, and the eye shine was the widest and brightest I'd ever seen in my life. From that time until I was 22, I had several encounters, being followed, hearing things, seeing tracks, tree breaks, objects being placed in my way whenever I go hunting, strips of deer fur on a barbed wire fence that we traveled all the time, nothing too serious. In 2012, I went to prison for 5.5 years. That sucks. And on the same day that I was sentenced, Joey passed away. When I was released in 2017, I tried not to think about the past and almost gave up on everything in the mountains because it reminded me so much of Joey. One day later that summer, I decided to go up in the mountains and see if I could find any of my old patches or if I could find any buck rubs. I just had to get into the woods. I had a bad feeling the whole ride, but ignored it because I didn't want to think about Joey, and I just thought that was causing the feeling. When I got out of my car, I started going up the trail. The feeling just kept getting worse, and then I realized it wasn't in my mind. I heard something trailing me. I sat down to smoke a cigarette. While I'm sitting there, something started throwing acorns, rocks, what sounded like breaking 2 trees over. I started thinking, connecting back with nature, and it was like a fog lifted. I couldn't control the fear that overcame me. Everything came rushing back, and I thought that was the dumbest thing in the world to ever go back out in the woods. I thought I was going to be eaten, because these things are very aggressive, especially whenever you're alone. I started walking down the hill. I started walking down the hill. There was one each side. I could see brush moving, black outlines, and right in front of me, in between me and my car, there was a low howl. They're trying to push me into a small holler. I never could see them clearly. They didn't let up. Fear turned to anger, and I just kept walking straight towards my car instead of going over the next ridge. I truly thought that I was going to die, and that they wouldn't come. And when they wouldn't come closer, I started yelling, "Get it over with." I had my pocket knife out, and I just kept thinking, stab the one that grabs me. I finally made it to the car, and I was pissed because they had me dead to rights. They had me outnumbered. They had 100% full advantage and wanted me to go into a deeper, darker spot instead of doing it right there. I was so angry, and all the other emotions I had going on, decided right then and there I wasn't going to be pushed out of the woods by nothing or no one, and if I ever got the chance, I would take one down and hang its hide on my wall. I don't care what anyone says. If I ever get the chance, I would take one out. I tan every fur bearer pelt or hide, whether it's worth money or not. I definitely enjoy getting the pelt off one of these damn things. To this day, November 2022, I've had more run-ins stalking and been followed every time. It just makes me angry because I'm always scared at first. They always manage to catch you off guard no matter how hard you try to stay on high alert. They always manage to throw a curveball. In this area, I've never seen a Bigfoot. I've never seen Bigfoot tracks. I'm not saying they're not here, but my entire life, these are the things that have aggravated me. And I truly believe whenever I picked that I truly believe whenever I picked that claw up, I was marked or something. Steve, thanks so much for your time. Hopefully someone can take something and make sense to them. Just getting all this off my chest makes a world of difference. Holding all this in, trying to push this in the back of my mind, almost losing out on everything that I love. Joey would kick my ass if he would have been around when I was giving up on going in the mountains. Just a few puzzle pieces. I always take notes of every time I see them. Time, area, weather. I use my phone to take pictures of broken branches and stick structures. They do make a lot of pyramid and double C-shaped structures. And claw marks on trees. Only for personal use, not to prove anything. I do carry plaster just in case if I'm in a group of people they can somehow get my attention and no one else's. If I take one person out with me, they terrorize that one person and I don't have a clue they're even there. Honing my sixth senses into these things is hard as hell. They have the upper hand. I always try to go with my gut feeling, like how you say, if you have a bad feeling about going into an area, just don't. Steve, thanks so much for everything you do. I'm so blessed to have found your channel and everyone in your How to Hunt family. We all want the simplest, cheapest, easiest thing on this planet, truth. Yeah, I wish it was that easy, eh, man? It's unfortunate you had to go away for 5 years. That sucks. I almost went away for 5 years once. One of the scariest times of my life was sitting there, standing there in that courtroom when the judge comes back in to let everybody know what's going to go down. And you don't know if you're going to go in that door or walk back out the door you came in. That was a shitty feeling, man. I was terrified, even though I was absolutely innocent. And the bully, abusive prick who started it lost in a bad way and went the typical route that bullies do and decided to make up a story and call the police and have me arrested. Weird. Anyways, babbling. That's a different story for another time. Anyway, killing one. I don't think that's going to happen, man. Better off just to accept their presence, accept they exist, accept the fact that they haven't killed you, and they could, anytime they felt like it, they could kill your ass. Just coexist. Coexist, respect each other. Somebody or something that can easily scare the shit out of you without you even seeing it wants you to leave. Just leave. Come back another day. That's what I do. Just leave and come back another day. But nothing's really been trying to scare me for a few years. I wonder if it's because I'm doing this. I don't know. Who knows? They're not intentionally trying to scare me. They've let me know they're there more than a handful of times the past few years, right? You guys have seen more of that. Catch that. You guys catch that. When I don't, this is what it is. But I'm really curious about the bear thing, the missing bears behind me. That does not make sense at all. Now the river's low and it's exposing some more gravel and ground. I'm gonna have to go down when I get some time and circumnavigate this big basin here and see what's up, what's going on in the prints, and leave some cameras up. I know I'm not going to catch any of these beings in the cameras. It's just not going to happen. They're not that stupid, and our cameras are not good enough. But I will find out if there are any bears here or not. Isn't that weird? Exactly 1 year later, over 20 different bears here, tons of salmon, and today, tons of salmon, no bears. Huh? Anyway, that's all I got for right now. I will be sharing my puzzle shortly. Be safe out there.